Circuit of the Americas.
Are you a
Austin,
big
Texas.
Longhorns fan?
I am not a big Longhorns fan.
You don't
No.
like Longhorns,
No.
Adam?
I respect the Longhorns. I've never picked
I
a
thought you
college
threw
team.
that up there.
I never picked a college team. I've never. I'm going to a Duquesne University Div 3 football game here soon.
What's the team name?
Duquesne.
Duquesne?
Yeah, what's Duquesne is the name.
Sounds
of it.
like McCain's.
No,
Are they serving
Duquesne is a
fries
good
or
basketball
something?
program.
Like-
It's just not a good necessarily football program. So maybe I'll do that one. I don't know. It's in Pennsylvania. It's where my mom's from. So anyway, long story short, we're going to check out the track here. Now, Tim will actually be at the track this weekend for it, which is pretty exciting. So we're going to see this all in person. But Tim, this is one of the great American racing tracks.
American.
It really is. There's some great tracks in the United States, like awesome racing culture, as we all know. But, this one is an interesting one because it's a nice little break from the street circuits that we've had the last couple of races. A nice little palate cleanser, and then followed immediately by Mexico, which is amazing too. Let's walk through the track here and kind of talk about what the drivers are going to be looking out for this weekend.
So we'll start off with, let's say we're on a qualifying push lap. So usually coming out of this last corner, you want to make sure you try and get the car as straight as possible because you want to get up to speed as fast as possible. And there's a DRS line literally right here. So making sure that you're getting into the DRS right away is really important. As we come up this hill, this is a big braking event, like really, really big. So essentially what you're going to want to do, and I've been using this black box up on the right-hand side here as a bit of a reference to start my braking. In real life, I mean, these guys are going to have to find something. But the fact is that when you're coming up this hill, since it's so steep, we can't see the apex of the corner.
Right.
So you don't know really where it is. So measuring how much brake force you're applying and how you're bleeding off of the brake pedal so you're not killing all your speed, because you can do that right away because you're also going uphill, right? So making sure that bleed off, and as you're bleeding off, you're trying to look for this red and white curbing, but you're as you're going up here so fast, you're not looking, look, right? It's just out of the corner of your eye. Something will begin to appear like it does right now.
And then you go.
And then you'll start to bring the drivers will start to bring the car over. What's interesting about here is that you can take quite a bit of this apex curb, even though you see all this track on the right-hand side. And normally you would think, ooh, all this space, we can drive the car in here really fast. But the problem is that when a lot of the drivers try to do something like that, they end up like way out here.
Right.
And the problem with being this far out on the track is you're going to run over this curbing and the green sort of asphalt that's kind of here. You get a lot of wheel spin.
Yeah.
And so how does that affect your lap? So if you're on here, you're going to obviously get a ton of wheel spin. If you're getting a ton of wheel spin, you're not utilizing this downhill section in that momentum. So you're losing you're losing hundredths of a second, which eventually add up.
Yes.
Right. So as the driver comes down here, you want to make sure you're not getting that wheel spin so you can get up to like 6th, 7th gear. You can take a little bit of this curbing as well as you're coming through here. And we're approaching this at about 7th gear. Again, you can't see the apex of this S section. Mm-hmm. And this is a really high speed part of the racetrack, like really high speed. So you're going to be flat out through here. You want to make sure as soon as you spot that red and white curbing, you're coming over. You're all the way up into 7th gear, like just flying through here. It's extremely exciting. But one of the things is that with this particular turn here, even though it's flat out, how you tackle it affects the next corner.
Okay.
Which then, if you don't get the car in a certain spot, it'll affect the next corner, then the next corner. Because this is just such a combination of left, right, left. It's really, really fast. So you're coming through here in 7th gear, you're going to want to take some of this curbing. You need to get up here a little bit. And you want to make sure you're trying to straight line this as much as possible at the beginning. So one steering input, you're coming through here flat out. And sometimes the car will start to wash away. And what do I mean by wash away? It's like you putting steering lock into the car and the front end starts to push. You put a little bit more in, it's still not committing. So a good thing to do, and what I've noticed, is there's a quick downshift that happens. And you'll come off the gas, downshift into sixth, and then that brings the car back over because the engine's not driving you forward right at that point. Right, you're coming off the gas, you're going to get a little bit of brake, it's going to settle a bit, you're not going to get a huge weight transfer event happening. You're downshifting to kill a little bit of the speed, which will help bring the front tires back down on the ground, allow you to get set up. And here, I think a lot of the drivers will use like a reference for a turn in because it's so fast. So it's a quick off the gas, downshift into fifth. I was using that black box that we just passed on the on the right-hand side here. Yeah, this thing right here up on the right-hand side. I was using that as a bit of a reference to turn in. But as I'm turning in, I'm flat out. And then I'm going to start to lift.
And it kind of snakes through.
And
you can see how your turn exits are going to really, you get that first one wrong and you're basically spending the next two correcting it.
Like I was saying with that few corners previous, where it's like if you're not pinpoint accurate with where the car needs to be, then you just literally compromise yourself for the next corner, the next corner, the next corner. And you lose so much time and a lap is dead, right? You're pretty much finished.
When we talk about race conditions, obviously it's Texas. Not a lot of rain at this particular track in its history, but when we look at heat, how much of a factor does that play in the cars? I mean, obviously, coming off Singapore, it's hard to make that a story, but this is still not an easy ride.
I don't know what the temperature is going to be like for this weekend in Texas. I haven't checked the weather app yet to see what kind of heat we're going to be dealing with. One of the things that I've always found with this track is that the sun in Texas is quite aggressive. So when sometimes you get to Austin, I mean, the weather is quite nice, but the sun is actually doing more damage than what you think it is because it's a little cooler, but the sun temperature is actually really hot.
So less humidity, more just straight heat. Okay.
Straight heat. So that affects the tarmac though.
Right.
Which eventually will affect the tires as well, right? So they're not going to get a ton of time. It's a sprint event. So FP1 is going to be really important. I mean, making sure that you're getting the tire pressures exactly right for where you want them is also going to be a very, very, very important thing. It's something that's not really talked about. But getting that dialed in so the degradation of the tire in the race is not high is going to be crucial.
What's the setup of the car in terms of downforce? Like, what are teams looking for? Because there is some twisty bits, but obviously it's a racing man's racetrack. What are we looking at here?
Yeah, medium. I would say like a medium sort of downforce setup. You don't have a lot of really long, winding corners. You've got a lot of really short, quick corners. You're coming up to here. This is probably one of the slowest parts of the racetrack where drivers are going to downshift into probably third or second gear, but this is one of the slower and heavy braking events compared to what's happening over at turn one. So you're going to be coming in here. You want to take a little bit of this apex curbing and then, again, starting to smoothly press on the gas when you're coming out of this corner is crucial because you're going to want to use part of this runoff curbing. And the thing is that if the steering wheel is in a compromised position, you haven't apex properly, then you're going to get a ton of wheel spin.
Right.
And you're going to ruin the lap again, right? So it's
a trickier course than you'd think, right? So let's talk a little bit about the atmosphere there, because Tim, you're obviously going to be there. You've been there the last few years. Everybody talks about Mexico City, but Austin gets 500,000 people throughout the weekend. What kind of an atmosphere is it?
It's pretty wild. I mean, a lot of really great fans at this track. Haas Hill is definitely really cool. When the drivers approach Haas Hill at the start of the race, it's just packed with fans. It looks like half of Texas is like sitting up in there. Like it's really great. It's one of my favorite races to go to. I would say the fans really embrace it. Locally, they really embrace it. Yeah, the atmosphere is just always really wild. Sunday's always a good party too. So
How much do you think Cadillac's going to do there this year? Obviously, in preparation for their entry into the grid next
I
year.
think they're going to be doing some stuff.
Yeah?
Yeah. They'll be doing some things. Can't really talk about, but yeah.
Okay, so you know they're doing some things.
I'll be there. I'm sure they will be there doing something.
Okay.
Right? There will be things there that everyone's going to be doing stuff. There's probably going to be some announcements happening that we can't talk too much about. Usually there always is, though.
Yeah?
When it comes to the American races or Canadian races, there's always some announcements coming into the weekend as well.
Maybe a George Russell extension?
We talked about this on the show, man. Like, this would be the perfect time to do it if you're going to do it. I mean, when else would be a great time? Maybe Vegas, going into Vegas would be a good time to do it. But again, right, that's 3 races before the end of the season.
Yeah,
Is
absolutely. No, I don't know.
No?
I don't know, man. It's going to be very, very interesting. I'm excited actually to see Perez and Bottas there. I would imagine they're going to be there, and I think that'll be a lot of fun. And then, of course, probably in Mexico the next time as well. So,
Do you want me to finish this part?
Finish this
here?
off. Yeah,
Because,
give it to us.
This is kind of an important part of the track as well. Making sure you're getting a good exit out of that corner that we just came through. But as you go under this American Express bridge thing here, you want to make sure that you're turning in a little later so you hit this apex. And hitting this apex is super important. Another part of it is drivers will be around 6th gear. To get into 7th gear to nail this second part of the apex, because you want to hit it in and around here, you use like 7th gear midway through there so you can get a little bit of front end rotation into the car. But as you come up to this turn up here, it's really fast, it's fun. It's 2 downshifts into 5th, not a lot of brake. Take some of this. Last year when Lando Norris got pole position here, this was a crucial part because as he was coming out, he hauled ass through that corner and really committed. But when he went to get back onto the power and he got up onto this curbing, he had a slight snap that he just saved. It was a remarkable save. But that's, making that save, it was just enough, and that allowed him to go on and get pole position. Last corner, also really important. Downshift into 3rd. It's a tricky corner, kind of throws you off. You would think it's something you want to go in late. You actually want to go in early because it is a bit of an uphill sort of corner, and you can kind of see it from the game as well. But you want to make sure that when you're apexing and you're starting to accelerate, you're straightening the steering wheel.
Right.
And even though that looks really weird, because you're like, well, we're gonna run right off the track. There's just no way. It doesn't make any sense. So your brain is telling you one thing, but since it's uphill and since you can't really see too much on what's on the other side, you kind of have to commit to it anyways and see what happens.
Right.
So you're going to be accelerating all the way up this hill while you're straightening out the steering wheel, and that usually ends with the drivers here or track limits because they've gone in early, and since you still have steering lock in, they're like, well, I got to get back on the gas.
Right.
So I've either got to just really start to easily get the steering wheel straight as I'm applying the power, and make sure that, and hopefully I don't go, 4 wheels off track.
Okay. All right.
Those are little details, right?
Circuit of the Americas. It's a trickier course than it looks like, but it's going to be lots of fun. And Tim Hauraney will be on the ground, boots on the ground, in Texas.